Hey guys, so I want to come on here and talk to you about yet another incident where you have white identity extremists running amok, okay? And the thing of it is you guys are only going to see these things on the local news. If that, you really won't find them on the national news because right now, every day, you have a white person running amok. And there's a number of different things that even if they don't show you who the person in question is, you can always tell when they're making reference to a white person by a number of things. And hopefully my videos in the past have showed you how to identify this. Now, the thing of it is about when I do these videos, and I want to reiterate this, okay? I don't suggest that anyone hates a white person because they're white. I don't care about white people being white. And I do believe that black people in this country couldn't care less about white people being white. But what I do care about is you understanding the type of people that you deal with. What I do believe is that you're dealing with a group of people who at the very least lack a conscience. Now I'm saying at the very least, and the rest of it is for you to determine for yourself. Now I already know it goes deeper than lacking a conscience. Some people speculate that they lack a soul. What I do know is that their behavior throughout history has vastly differed than everyone else's. What I do know is, and this is a fact, is that they are far more savage and hateful than anyone else on the face of the earth. What I do know is that every time there's a mass shooting, it's being perpetuated by either a white male most of the time or a white female. What I do know is that this is a group of people who spend their time fixated on and demonizing black people while ignoring their own degeneracy. That's what I do know. I do know those are the facts. I do know that the FBI and the Department of Justice crime data, which is owned by white people, says that white people commit the most crimes. What I do know is that they have a nefarious, insidious mindset where it appears to always be preying on another group of people, trying to oppress them just to make themselves feel better. What I do know is that they engage in hunting for sport, which suggests that they have a murderous bloodlust that they need to satisfy. That's what I do know. Now, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I do know how to read. And I can read the DSM, which is the Bible for psychological disorders, and I can match their behavior collectively and over time to what's pathologized in there. What I do know is that hate and evil should not be ignored and it should never be praised. And I do believe that if anybody really says that they care about the black community, but refuses to acknowledge this pathology and want to play respectability politics and censorship and conceal the truth, either because they want to preserve their livelihood or sustain money, I do believe that that's a person that you should be suspicious of as well. My goal is to bring you the truth. It's not to make people feel comfortable with the truth. So if I'm seeing some coons engaging in coon behavior, or if I see some bedwenches engaging in some suspect behavior, if I see some white supremacists and white identity extremists running amok, terrorizing my people, putting out false information, then I believe that it is my responsibility as a black person to put out the truth. And so as long as there's social media, as long as I have a voice, I'm going to continue to do this. Now, I'm going to play this clip, and then I'll come back for some commentary.
Breaking news, 2 people killed in what police are calling a planned killing spree that started downriver and then ended in Oakland County. Glad you're with us tonight at 5. The accused in this case is now in the hospital after a wild chain of events unfolded all across town.
Yeah, wild indeed. Let's break it all down for you step by step. Police say it started in Taylor, where the shooter walked into a business and opened fire, killing one person.
Then went to Pontiac, where he shot and killed another man. It ended with a shootout with police in Waterford.
We're covering this story from multiple angles. Rod Maloney is in Waterford, where it ended, but we want to start, though, where it began with Sean Lay. He's live in Taylor. Sean.
Let's tell everyone what we're learning about the 45-year-old gunman, suspected gunman from Sterling Heights, fired from this trucking business last year. He was here with a handgun in November, threatening his former co-workers. Then he was arrested for that.
Now, I want to pause this because they said that this gunman, 45-year-old, clearly a white man, and I'm going to tell you the biggest indicator that this is a white man. Number one, they know who this person is. They're not disclosing it. Number two, they just said this same man was here with a gun threatening coworkers, and he was still let out on the street. Please, somebody find me one black man that could do that and live, let alone be given the opportunity to then turn back around 2 months later and go on a planned killing spree. Now, they know who this person is. They caught him in the act. They're still referring to him as a suspect. This isn't a suspect. They don't need to speculate whether he did anything. They know for a fact that he did it. Let's continue, though.
That crime, he was out on bond when today came back here armed with an AK-47 and he stormed inside.
We heard a couple of gunshots, and then a guy came upstairs and he was shouting that someone killed the guy downstairs.
The people inside this car are shaken. They were inside the BSD Line Hall building when at least 5 shots were fired just after 10 this morning.
Took a truck off on the operator over here and ran away from this place.
The 45-year-old shooter is from Sterling Heights. He came here armed with an AK-47 and multiple 30-round magazines. He was fired from the trucking company. Police say once inside, he targeted the manager. Family members identifying him tonight as Keith Kitchen. And the gunman shot Kitchen multiple times.
Now, notice how they can show the victim of this person. They can tell you the victim's name, but they're protecting the suspect. They won't release the suspect name or show a photo of them. This is why I say this is a demonic system. That's what a lot of people don't understand. To white supremacy, preserving white supremacy is worth life, okay? They care nothing. They don't care about their children. They don't care about their safety. They don't care about money. They don't care about anything except preserving white supremacy. They don't even care about other white people when it pertains to preserving white supremacy. Because you have the victim here, which is a white man. This is how you know that this is the white man who murdered him. Tell me one scenario where a black person shot up multiple white people, got one white victim, and that person's male or female, young or old, wasn't blasted over everything. They don't preserve the image of black victim babies, but they're somehow telling you that we'll show this white man who got murdered, and we'll tell you the white man who got murdered, the victim, but we won't tell you who the suspect is. We won't tell you who the shooter is. Really? This is what they're doing.
Kitchen's niece posting on social media, quote, "Prayers for my family as we have lost an amazing man and a big loving part of our family today. We are heartbroken."
He walked inside and shots were fired. I'm assuming when someone walks in with an assault rifle, I think everybody knows what's happening.
As people in an office upstairs locked themselves in and called 911.
One other guy came upstairs and he says, "Somebody shoot to Keith."
That gunman walked outside, planning his escape by pointing that AK-47 at another truck driver.
And he walked up at gunpoint, pointed the weapon at him, told him to step out of the truck. He jumped in, he drove away.
Now, let me tell you another piece of deception, because this is what we need to realize. Notice how every single one of the witnesses that they showed wasn't white. Some of them had, Middle Eastern accents, Indian accents. They didn't show you anybody white. So I told you guys the psychology behind showing the demographic of the area. So understand that all this was edited out. It was strategic. They're not going to just give you raw, uncut news footage. So the fact that they're only showing you non-white people, they're not disclosing to you the name or the photo identity of this person, but they're showing you non-white people because they want you to believe that somehow this shooter wasn't white. Because all they have to do is omit certain information and include other information. And the way that your brain works is your brain is going to see a bunch of victims, suspected shooter that's not being identified, and a demographic that appears to be non-white. This is what they do. This is called deception, and this is why nobody should be paying attention to the news. You really shouldn't be. You should be analyzing and scrutinizing every single thing that comes out in the news. This would never fool me because I would just automatically know my brain, the way my brain is set up to automatically identify white criminals. They're not going to fool me. They're not going to make me believe that somehow this shooter wasn't white. This is a white person.
Drove away roaring right out of this lot, right up towards, headed for Oakland County. That's where local force Rod Maloney picks up this story from here. And Rod, the Taylor aspect of this was just the beginning.
Yes, and it ended here, Sean. It was a chase that came right down here on Dixie Highway and ended in a gun battle, and a serious one right down the street by that sign that says speed limit 40. But here's the thing. Another person died before the police were able to take the shooter down.
About an hour after the Taylor situation, the first 911 calls came in from this company, Aluminum Blanking, on West Sheffield and Pontiac. Sheriff Mike Bouchard says the man in the stolen semi came here looking for an old boss and sadly found him working at his desk, his back to the window.
Went right in through a pedestrian door to a window, kind of like a physician's office slide window, and shot the individual through that window as he sat at his desk.
He then went to a third business, Assured Trucking, and asked, gun in hand, for a person who wasn't there. The company went into lockdown, and it was minutes later that Waterford police found him as he left that business, and they had a gun battle at Williams Lake Road in Van Zandt.
They were behind him, their lights and siren on.
Again, this is a shooter that just killed a person and engaged in a gun battle with the police. Is still alive today, okay? Still alive. You're not telling me that this isn't a white person. I wouldn't care if they came back 2 days from now and lined up 10 different black people and said all of them had something to do with it. No, they didn't. It was a whole white person. That's all that it was. One whole white person that decided to go around murdering people.
And he stopped the truck, shot at him, got back in the truck, continued to flee until it crashed.
That crash happened here at Frumby's and Dixie Highway. Denise Lemke, who works at the Bingo City here, saw the shootout.
Semi spinning out of control. The driver of that semi decides he's going to get out on the passenger side of that vehicle with I believe it was an AK-47 gun, and starts shooting at the police officers that were behind him. And then the cops returned.
Did y'all just see the hair sprouting out of her face? Not off of her head, but out of her jaw area. If they show her again, I'll pause it and show you guys.
Fire back at him and struck him, and he was on the ground. The cops returned fire back at him.
I want to show you. Look.
And start shooting.
Do y'all see this right here? Really? I can't. If they ever, look, these white supremacists have no shame. If you can even come out of your house looking like this, that's problematic. But anyway.
At the police officers that were behind him, and then the cops returned fire back at him and struck him, and he was on the ground.
Now, the deceased man from Pontiac in that business is identified as 58-year-old Heriberto Perez. Police have the shooter under arrest in custody in a local hospital. They won't say where, but he's expected to survive. He had surgery this afternoon.
Now, they have him in custody in a hospital, okay? Clearly, all indicators say that this is a white man. Goes on a shooting spree, kills a person, shoots at multiple other people, some of them being policemen. Dude gets taken into custody alive to a hospital to get surgery. But I'm supposed to believe that this doesn't have white man written all over it. Really?
We're told that the two young women that were in the car accident that happened just here at the intersection are going to be okay. Back to you.
Well, Rod, when are we likely to see a court appearance here?
Well, that's the thing. There is so much that they have to work on here. They've got forensics to do. They've got to tie all the loose ends together. And so it's a situation where they may not finish investigating just the nuts and bolts of this until sometime tomorrow or even the next day. And so it's likely that we might not see an arraignment for a while, and it could even happen in a hospital.
A long path to retrace. All right, Rod.
Please tell me that y'all know that that's a white person. So it says 2 people were killed Thursday in what police are calling a planned killing spree that started downriver and ended in Oakland County, okay? And so he's just traveling throughout Michigan killing. The alleged shooter, now they're going to say alleged shooter, they already just told you they know this dude shot. They already know he shot. A 45-year-old man from Sterling Heights is in the hospital after a wild chain of events unfolded across town. Are you kidding me? They're calling this man's murderous spree a wild chain of events? This is why white supremacy is imploding on itself. Now look, it says police said the crime spree started in Taylor when the man walked into the BSD Line Haul Trucking Company building and opened fire, killing 1 person. Family members identified the victim as Keith Kitchen. So they'll identify the victim for you, but not the perpetrator. They're even telling you, we're not going to, so they're protecting this person. They're saying this person is a murderer, killed people, shot at officers. Blue Lives Matter is nowhere in existence. We're not going to tell you who the shooter is. We're not going to show you an image of him, but we will tell you who the victim is and show you a picture of that. And not only that, we're not going to tell you where the shooter is at either. But I digress. Keith Kitchen, who was related to the owner of the business. Kitchen was a manager at the business. Police said the shooter targeted Kitchen and shot him multiple times. This is what they're saying it is. So look, can show a victim, show in a picture of the victim, can identify him by name and photo, but no, not for the killer. Not for the killer. He was a disgruntled employee who had problems previously at the location, Taylor Police Chief John Blair said. It appears today he came back for some sort of revenge. Really? After the shooting, the man ran outside and carjacked the driver of a semi-truck, threatening him at gunpoint, Blair said. I wonder if this video is different because the other one was 5, so let's see.
As a shooting spree spreads across Metro Detroit and leaves 2 people dead. It tops our News Tonight at 6. 2 workplace shootings, first in Taylor, then in Pontiac, devolved into a gunfire-riddled police chase and shootout in Waterford.
Tonight, the man who apparently wanted revenge on former bosses is in the hospital in police custody. Local 4's Rod Maloney is live tonight in Waterford to take us through these frightening events, Rod.
It's just startling here, Karen. A man who is under arrest right now was on probation, and he had apparently brought a handgun to his former employer in Taylor last year. But today, we're told, he took a much larger gun into that business and then brought it all the way up here to Waterford from Taylor.
5 gunshots rang out inside the BSD Line Haul building about 10.
Yeah, I think that's the same video. So anyway. And so this is the arsenal that he brought. But black on black crime, right? Because black identity extremists is the real problem in this country. They're really the biggest threats to officers. So he killed 2 people. Shootout with the police. This right here, shootout with the police and still alive, that white written all over it. But this is why they'll keep, again, this is self-sabotage. Because on one hand, they say preserving white supremacy is more important than life. But on another side, they don't realize that, well, if you're not alive, you can't have white supremacy. Y'all are killing each other. Nature is wreaking havoc on your genetic code because it doesn't need to be here. They're not going to curb this. So they're in between a rock and a hard place. That's what that means. But anytime you see shootout with police and still lived and not being identified, that's white. Sounds about white. So these are some images. He crashed the semi-truck at Friends Road and Dixie Highway, police said. There were 2 young women in the car he struck. They both suffered minor injuries and are listed in good condition. Officials said they're lucky to be alive. Well, the funny thing is I would be suing the police department and the legal system in Michigan because had they locked this criminal up, didn't give him bond, he wouldn't have been free to go kill people. The man was arrested and is in police custody at a nearby hospital. He's expected to survive, officials said. They have a bunch of things on here. Just videos all over the place. But it's only on Local 4 News, though.
We begin with breaking news in Taylor this new time, where one man has been shot and killed. Police are searching for that shooter. It happened in the area of Pennsylvania and Telegraph Road. We're being told that the shooter is on the run. Police believe he may have an assault rifle with him. Officers are securing the area. We have a reporter heading to that scene. We'll bring you more information as it becomes available.
So these are just old videos, which you guys can come on here and watch all these news, because they have a wealth of news clips. Not giving you any information, but a ton of news clips, because they're not going to tell you who this
busy road
white supremacist is.
Could have been the recipe for tragedy in Dearborn. Thankfully, a mother's quick action limited the damage. Now, that said, there are 2 broken legs in this case.
I'm sure that hit and run driver was white too. I used to live in Detroit right next to Dearborn, so I recognize that area as well as Taylor and Telegraph Road. Again, I used to live out there, so I'm familiar with all this. But look, Dearborn police search for hit and run driver who injured a toddler. Probably a white person. More white on white crime. Look, I could literally sit here all day until my tongue fell out and brought you guys these reports. And the reality of it is that this is just, it's out of control. But you guys let me know what you think, because I'm convinced that this is, clearly this is a white person. Now, I'll leave this link in the description box as well on what you guys can do. But look, they're not doing anything. They're still staying on code on here. 45-year-old suspect. I told you guys, younger, old, male or female, foreigner, domestic, it doesn't matter. There is a press conference here. You guys can watch this. It's about 23 minutes. They're still not going to tell you who this person is. They're not going to just come out and admit that this is a white man and this is very problematic. They're not going to pathologize themselves. They're just not going to. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for your support.